Okay, at this point, we'll bring the meeting to order. I would like to let Aunt Rana do her presentation.
You do the pledge first.
You want to do the pledge first?
Yep,
Okay, all right.
Okay, we'll do the
Start the
pledge.
meeting.
yep, do the pledge, do roll call, then go right into it.
I pledge
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, Supervisor Bowman,
Here,
Clerk Hurst here, Treasurer Patterson,
Here.
Trustee Laporte,
Here.
Trustee Addie,
Here.
Trustee Rush,
Here.
Trustee Morgan. Here.
okay, now,
Presentation. Welcome, Raina.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Raina Emmons. I'm a partner with PSLZ. It's my pleasure to be here this evening. Just a quick housekeeping item or two. My apologies to the board. We had a bit of miscommunication at the last meeting. The audit was ready. We just miscommunicated. I didn't realize I was on the agenda. So that's my fault. I'm happy to be here this evening. Also, this may be my last meeting with Clerk Hurst, who I just want to say thank you for always being so accommodating, you and your staff. Just an outstanding clerk, and thank you. It's been a pleasure working with you. Jumping into the audit, Sumpter Township did receive the highest level of audit opinion possible, which is an unmodified opinion. So no bad things to talk about tonight, or a clean audit opinion, if you will. Starting off with your largest revenues, your property taxes increased this year 6.75%. Of course, you didn't raise your millage rates or anything like that. That's all taxable value increase here in the township, which we really like to see. 6.75% increase. The year before was 6.1. So just to give you an idea. The state shared revenue was just about even from the prior year, and the state is projecting pretty much flat, maybe a 1% increase for next year. The story here is interest income, way up this year. In the general fund alone, you're up $112,000. We've never seen numbers like this before. And I'd like to give credit to Treasurer Patterson and to Scott, the investment committee that you have together there. They're looking at alternative ways to, or I should say the smartest ways, but the safest ways to invest the money. So you're not in anything crazy, you're in solid, safe investments, but we're taking advantage of that 5% interest rate or more. So, nice work on that. Landfill royalties down again this year. The last couple of years, it's been going down about $100,000. Overall, building permits also down this year, about $47,000. That's about a 21% decline. But in the couple years before that, you had a lot of the modular home building, so there were a lot of permits pulled in those other years. I think it's probably coming back more down to normal. Nothing to be concerned about there. Overall, the general fund used a fund balance of $87,000. That is projected as far as you plan for that. That isn't some, oh no, we overspent. It wasn't that at all. You transferred $291,000 to the capital project fund out of the general fund, and that's why we dipped it a little bit into. If you hadn't done that, we would actually add it to the general fund. But you're planning ahead for future capital projects. Significant capital purchases this year was the PEG video system for the township boardroom, air conditioning for the community center.
Good investment.
One new police vehicle, and we did significant work on the Martinsville Cemetery, including the, fencing, debris removal, fixing that up. Also like to report there was no new debt this year, which we also, the auditor likes to see that as well. Switching to the water and sewer fund, you actually had operating income this year of $279,000. I'm usually telling you about an operating loss, so happy this year to be able to say, so last year was an operating loss of $125,000, and this year we had income of $279,000. The depreciation, $683,000. So that is significant in the water fund. Water purchases increased, so the cost of buying water went up about 2% to the township. And the revenues increased about 9%. And lastly, the water cash flow increase, that's what we really look at in the water fund. How did we do cash-wise? Because it's kind of skewed a little bit with depreciation, fixed assets, things like that. So what we look at is cash flow, and you were up about $200,000 this year over the prior year. So that operating income truly is income, because you physically received money toward that. The water fund, we paid down $535,000 of principal. And you have $2.36 million remaining in the water fund debt. And that is due through November 2028. It'll all be paid off. This coming November 2024, you have one remaining payment left on the 2014 sewer refunding bond. So that'll go away November 1st this year. The pension liability. So a year ago, we were talking about the pension, the net loss in your pension fund. This year, I'm happy to report, it literally swung the other way. We had a year ago, we had a net investment loss of $1.2 million, and this year, we're showing a net investment gain of $1.2 million. So pretty much erased all that. And overall, the pension liability decreased to $118,000. You paid an extra $367,000 toward the pension liability, which really hats off to the township board for taking advantage of that. And ultimately, you're at 83% funded at the end of the year. So with that, it's a lot of numbers. Happy to answer any questions you may have.
Chair, if I may. Rena, could you, for the layman and the residents that don't understand a lot of these numbers, can you give us a grade for the last year? Like, if you had to put a grade on it.
I'd give you a very good grade because look, just the big things like your general fund, you really did add to the general fund, even though it shows we decreased it, it's because we're putting money aside for capital projects. So you still have that money. The water fund, we have an operating income this year, which reversed from the last couple years. Again, cash flow that shows we're positive in the water fund, water and sewer fund. We're paying off debt, no new debt. Those are the key things. And we had net investment gain in the pension fund this year. So those are the big, if there were 5 big items right there, and those are all positive.
Thank you.
Sure. So we got, this is our third year of unmodified results, I think.
Third year, I don't know how long I've been the auditor, but it's always been unmodified since I've been here, yes.
Report, yeah, so I think it's been the third year, so, which, hats off to, Scott and the finance team, Esther's team for, Carrie Ford for keeping all of the records in order and
Absolutely.
Making sure that we don't have any issues that pop up operationally and how they do their work. And so that's fantastic. And so basically what you said is we had a surplus from the general fund that we moved to the capital fund this year, which is great. And it's great that we reversed a little bit of the negative cash flows we've had in the water. So I think it's a very good report. I appreciate that.
Yes.
Appreciate all the work from Scott Holtz and Carrie Ford and all of the people that are involved in keeping those records and making sure the audit goes smooth.
Thank you very much. Yes, you are. I mean, just that. This is the result of you are professionally managed. These things that happen day-to-day basis. This is how we get to a good result at the end of the year. It's not, we don't just kind of throw darts at the board and go, okay, how are we going to land? You've been monitoring it all year. Scott and Carrie have spent a lot of time with this. Even looking, with Treasurer Patterson and Mr. Holtz, looking at the investments, not just kind of going with the flow. I mean, they're actively managing. So it really shows. I mean, the interest income this year was phenomenal. I'd love to see you repeat it. We don't know where the rates are going, but I think they'll be doing their best.
Yep, absolutely. Thank you, Rena.
Chair, I just have one question. How would you compare us to other communities right now? If there is.
So going back to, so your population-wise, and location, so here, the key factors I look at for something like that is you have a 6.75% increase in taxable value. That says a lot of very positive things about the township. Yes, we all know inflation's 5%, so the assessing, everyone got it, basically everyone was assessed 5%, but you're above that. I'm seeing 5 to 6% at the other communities. You're at 6.75. That's significantly above. And last year you were 6.1. So we really like to see that. Again, you didn't raise the rates. You didn't raise the taxes on the residents. It's just the taxable value increases. New homes, people improving their homes, new businesses, impacting our bottom line positively.
Chair. I also wanted to make sure that residents that haven't been here to hear our audit results before, the investment strategies, when we talk about we got good investments, we're making investments, want to make sure we don't have a treasurer or finance director that's out there throwing money at, hot stocks that they think are going to hit. These are state-approved funds that we're invested in, and they just have to be picking the better of the, state funds that are available, maximizing the amount of money that we can get. So these just isn't somebody behind the closed doors rolling dice, figuring out what fund to buy. These are state-approved funds that we invest in.
100%.
That's absolutely true.
Yep.
Any questions? No? All good. Thank you again, Rena.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank
Nice
you,
seeing
Rena.
everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, approve agenda.
Chair, I've asked Captain Jamie Good to give a brief summary of a program that he's initiated on the tail end of the fire report, if the board doesn't mind. A small presentation, won't take much time. Thank you. I'll make a motion to approve the agenda.
Well, we had, our township manager was gonna
Oh,
make some
I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. Pardon, trustee. Mr. Bowman, if I may. First, I'd like to request in conversation with several in agreement that we consider either tabling or removing item B so that we can put a little more effort into it, a little more information, and bring it back to the board for consideration. Also, if I may, the good Treasurer Patterson had chatted with me about an MGFOA and consideration on an agenda item for that. Sir, if you would, please.
Thank you. So board, what we have, the MGFOA is the Michigan Government Finance Officers Association. They have a fall training institute for 2024 that is in Frankenmuth. Definitely think that it's a worthwhile institute to send our finance director to, as well as our deputy treasurer. A lot of more, again, investment banking strategies, finance directed based. So that is a total collective cost. I think it's just under $2,100. So the language that I would propose if we had to item G would be consider approval for both the deputy treasurer and finance director to attend the MGFO, a fall training institute at a cost not to exceed $2,100.
Chair, I think they're asking Mr. Laporte to amend his motion, adding the two items.
Yeah, I'll amend my motion to remove item B and add item G.
Support.
And Mr. Bowman, if I could, we were also approached and had conversation based upon multiple community concern, and the good supervisor was involved in that conversation. So, sir, if you would, please.
So I received a phone call from Mr. Kevin McNamara, supervisor of Van Buren Township, in relation to the toxic waste they want to bring to the dump in Van Buren Township. There's several communities, Belleville, Romulus, Van Buren, Ypsilanti Township, that are donating money or pitching in money for the defense to try to stop this. And These other townships basically have put up $5,000 towards the defense, and I would like to ask Sumpter Township if we could do the same.
Do you have the language for that?
And that would be item H.
That would be item H, yeah. What would the language read? Consider contribution of $5,000 to legal fund.
Legal fund.
What's the name of the legal fund?
Kevin didn't tell me what the name of the legal fund was. It was the purpose for it, is for the,
And this would be going to whom?
this will be going to the attorney for that is defending it. Actually, Canton Township is, their attorney is the one that's going to,
Do they have some sort of a plan they're presenting? I mean, what the process is? I'm not opposed to it, I mean, but we need, if we're gonna expend funds, it can't be for private matters, and it needs to be in conjunction with some matter that affects the township as such, so maybe we could take a look at it. I mean, I guess in theory, we can approve it, and then subject to just some review. Is that
Well, it
okay?
really does impact us because bringing that stuff from New York to that landfill, I mean, we're within a stone's throw.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not saying that.
He's not saying that it
No,
doesn't
I'm not
affect us.
saying that.
I'm not saying that. I mean, what I'm trying to say is we need to have,
I spoke with Kevin. It was probably a 10-minute conversation. He was in a meeting at the time. We got called into a meeting with another person from another township. We didn't get into detail, but he did tell me that it's for the defense to try to stop this. If the attorneys, I guess, what do you file, Rob, when you go to try to delay something like that?
probably file some sort of an injunction relief in federal
Right.
court. I mean, I guess what I'm saying is I don't,
Yeah.
it's not gonna end at $5,000. Let's just understand that going in, because this is gonna be a very complicated and very arduous piece of litigation that is gonna be well-funded on the other side, of course, because of the proponents in doing
Yeah,
this.
yeah,
And I'm not trying to I'm not taking the punch bowl from the party, I'm just saying we have to be realistic if we're gonna get involved in this, that I think you need to have, maybe not initially, just, we can start and see what happens, but going forward, just to have an understanding as to what the process is and what it is you're trying to accomplish here with these
Yeah, well,
lawsuit.
it's, Reggie Miller is going in front of the House for legislation to stop it. This is, I guess this money is going to the lawyers to basically put a hold on it, or whatever, however you word it, until that legislation goes through the House where they can have a better chance of stopping it.
Is it Canton that's heading this up?
Mhm.
Chair? Why don't we just do a motion to start a review? Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks is probably not gonna make a difference.
unless
So
they need
$5,000,
emergency legal fund, yeah.
I'm not suggesting that $5,000 is something that you can't spend it to get into this. All I'm trying to say is that normally these things take on a life of their own.
Yep.
We saw how that went when we got into the landfill fight back in 1984, 88. When we tried to keep the ash out of the incinerator, coming from the incinerator in 1992. How we talked about some of the sludge and the like that came in Detroit in 1997. So these things take on a life of their own. I just want you to understand that. And all I'm saying is that to put $5,000 in there initially, because time is probably of the essence right now. But when we do that, at least let's have an idea as to where and what the plan is, and what they expect to do, and what are the review periods? I mean, if we get knocked out of court initially, we just have to have some idea as to what it is that we're funding, is all I'm trying to say.
So you could communicate with their lawyer, Van Buren, with Kevin's lawyer?
Yeah, is it Van Buren that's doing it, or is it Canton?
Well, Kevin said, I think Canton is the one that's taking it.
Yeah, the
in
Canton
front of
lawyer
the
does a
judge.
lot of public, this kind of work in a traditional sense, from what I understand, so it's probably somebody that is well-versed. That's the other thing. Most attorneys are not, because this is a complicated process, both procedurally, and of course, you gotta know what you're talking about. So, I'm not opposed to the $5,000, but let's do it if that's what the inclination is, and then we'll try and acquire some information as to what, they have to have some plan as to how they're gonna go forward, what the
Yeah,
cause of
yeah,
action's gonna
exactly.
be, what is the end goal, how do they expect to get there, where's the process gonna be initiated? I would think that they at least have gotten that far, so.
Chair, if I could, then I agree that we need to do something. I also agree that I think we need to have more information, but as far as, like they've already proposed, that we search more into it, but at the time, I would read it as consider contribution of $5,000 to the legal defense fund with surrounding communities, maybe is best wording.
Yeah.
I was gonna add, consider approval of legal contributions subject to the review and recommendation by the township attorney.
We'll go with
We
that
can
one.
do that way too.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but does not Van Buren have a toxic landfill at the moment?
Yeah.
That's where it's
So why,
located.
going.
why are they?
It's, I don't know
That's where
if it's a
That's where it's
specifically
going?
only a toxic landfill, but that is where it's going.
Yeah.
It's
Well, then-
nuclear
well, then
waste.
why
So
are
I
we?
think there's a difference between
Oh.
toxic and nuclear waste.
I see.
A lot,
Chair?
a big difference.
One's toxic.
Chair, if I
one's
may,
nuclear.
Most people probably don't know, I've done some research on this, and this goes way, way back. This material is actually low-level nuclear waste from the Manhattan Project, where the United States developed the first nuclear weapons on the planet. I don't know why they have to move it. The major concern I'm hearing, and we'll be voting on this at the Conference of Western Wayne, their resolution this Friday, the 18 communities. The main thing is the truck traffic. That, it's all coming by truck, and it's gonna be a lot of trucks, and all you need is one accident. They say it's low level, but it's still,
They say
it's still nuclear waste.
Yeah,
Of course they're gonna say that.
okay.
Yeah, I would agree with trustee Adi's language on that agenda item.
I'll second that.
So we have an original motion by trustee Laporte. Would you be willing to modify?
Oh.
You wanna modify it, adding
Adding H to trustee Adi's?
I'll make yet again an amendment to my motion to add item H for trustee Adi's language. You wanna repeat it, man? I know you wrote it down.
Karen said she has it.
Okay.
There you go.
Yep.
We'll repeat it again.
And it's supported.
Okay, been motion and supported.
Told you where to go. Okay, all right.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Oh,
Okay, so we'll go to public comment. Okay. Jessica Peterson?
Hello, and I think my timing is perfect because I came to talk about the atomic waste. I had notes prepared, but your guys' conversations were so well, so I kind of just want to take 3 minutes to talk about what I know. I was sitting behind a mic in Van Buren Township last week during the town hall meeting, and I've had numerous discussions with a lot of people about this. I know a lot about it. And what I will say is they're taking it from New York because New York has banned this type of waste, and there was really bad exposure in Lewiston, New York. I was able to actually call on the communities at Lewiston, New York, because I just purchased a house in Canton 3 miles from the site, and I had no idea about the fact that they accept low-level radioactive waste. And when I started calling the families, because I kept on hearing low-level radioactive waste, but I needed to check it for myself. I have a son with a relentless autoimmune disease, and we just can't afford that much more exposure since we're 3 miles from the site. So I started calling on communities that was about 7 miles from the site in Lewiston, New York, and I knew it was going to either be better than I thought or worse than I thought, and it was so worse. It was so much worse than I thought. If you start picking up the phone and calling these communities, the first family that I called, the father lost a kidney to cancer, the mother had MS, the son had childhood leukemia, both of his neighbors died of cancer, and the only reason they found out is because the son, who had childhood leukemia, worked for the government. This story's all online, by the way. And there was issues with a lot of health concerns in this area. They knew about this Oppenheimer waste that was stored not far ago. So he brought a device that he had working at the government, and they had tested it, and it was 500 times the EPA level of radioactive material. So they started a lawsuit. The lawsuit is still pending. His house, he couldn't sell it. Actually, this happened 3 years ago, and by the way, we took this waste from them. When this started, we took this waste at that site 3 years ago. You guys can fact check me. And they don't have to disclose when we take that type of waste here. The only reason they're disclosing it now is because the media got to it. And they started talking about this atomic waste from World War II, and now we're having discussions about it. But again, the worst of it, that came 3 years ago. And so I think it is important that we talk about these matters. I do see that there at the budget at the beginning of the year when Whitmer proposed that, she tried to increase tipping fees because the reason we're accepting this type of waste, there's only 5 sites in the nation that can accept this. We're accepting it because our tipping fees are the lowest in the country. So in comparison, a lot of other states, their tipping fees are between $30, $35 per ton. Ours is 36 cents. So when they're trying to dump waste, you can imagine they're going to go to the cheapest place. An injunction would be helpful even if it goes nowhere because they're taking this, they're starting this month, 25 truckloads, and they're pulling that radioactive, the low-level radioactive waste during winter. Why would they transport this type of radioactive waste in winter on trucks? And if you saw the trucks, they just cover the soil and the concrete. So it's not like it's super secure. And then they're just going to dump it in the landfill with a cover, right? So I was disturbed when I heard there wasn't going to be any storage units, like stainless steel storage underground that they were going to put it in either. I'm actually going to be touring the facility next Tuesday. I have a group of people who are taking a lot of interest in this because of the health risks. So I'm just here to talk about that because it's very concerning, and we need to get to the point where we're not just talking about these things passively because it's been issues over years, but we're actually finding solutions because other states have increased their tipping fees. And other places know that we are America's dumping ground because we are one of the cheapest. Michigan cannot afford that because we have 20% of the world's fresh water. We cannot afford to take the country's waste. And if you just do your research and look into it, it is it's appalling. By the way, that family, he did sell his home not too long ago. The homes in surrounding areas comparable to his was $280,000 that they were selling for. He was able to sell his for $91,000. So it's not just a health issue. That family that I called, that I'm referring to, lived 7 miles away from that site. It's an investment issue. We know our real estate is our biggest investment in our portfolio, and we need to protect it. So I'm trying to protect my investment because my home is my legacy for my kids. My health matters. And we know with the Ohio train derailment that when exposure happened, they gave families who were impacted in a gruesome way $25,000 as a settlement as long as they do not come back and sue for cancer. Okay? I don't want to have these conversations. I don't want to have that dilemma. Having a childhood who we have to give medication to keep alive every day is enough of a dilemma for me. I do not want to have to make those type of decisions, and we can avoid it. We just need to speak up, which is why I'm here, and I am not going to stop talking about this until I see change every single day. So I hope this is considered. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, spokesperson for Mary Van.
Mary Van wanted to thank the fire department for coming to her rescue at the community center. She's home recuperating, doing good. She was just too tired to come tonight.
Thanks, Mary.
Your official title.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to the minutes. A, approve the regular board meeting minutes of August 27th, 2024.
So moved.
Support?
Been moved and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, moving on, approve warrants of $253,345.15.
So moved.
Support.
Roll call vote?
Been moved and supported, roll call vote. Trustee Laporte?
Yes.
Trustee Morgan?
Yes.
Trustee Addie?
Yes.
Trustee Rush?
Yes.
Supervisor Bowman?
Yes.
Clerk Hurst, yes. Treasurer Patterson?
Yes.
Motion carried.
Motion to receive and file supervisor's report.
So moved.
Support.
Been motion and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, township manager report.
Yes, sir. Mr. Bowman, thank you. Good evening, board. A quick run-through status and updates and a couple of interesting topics, and I'll be on my way. So, ARPA activities, the top 3 working on right now, community center entrance, Those supplies, products have been ordered by the contractor. He believes he'll be able to start in 4 to 6 weeks. That was from about a week and a half ago. 2, campus parking lots. Oh, and by the way, for all 3 of those identified, contracts are secured and performance bonds are in place. The campus parking lots, that is all scheduled for the week of September 23rd. So the next time our board meets, you'll be able to see a pretty good sized project in place, in action. And it is for all our campus parking lots. Benoti trees, they will start next Tuesday and go in with the planned forestry project to begin to help take care of the organic growth there for us. Recycling concrete pad, completed, done. I'm not saying forever, there won't be any cost with it, but as it relates to ARPA and the project, it is completed. Containers are in place, it is in use. And by the way, board, your residents, thank you, they love it. So, Grand Playscape in planning, in process. We got some nice vinyl banners out there that Treasurer Patterson, the good Deputy Campbell, took care of for us. And that has been placed, one of them, on the footprint that is planned for that playscape. So please stop by, take a look. Current projects, reobligation considerations. Met with the work study session last night. We talked about those projects. The spreadsheet is and has been sent to the board and management members, and we will talk through that between now and then, very liquid process. And I would like to get that on the table for board recognition September 24th. Bids closed, and that would be PD restroom, PD south side windows, both of which will be on the table next board meeting for consideration. New bidding. We've got Grand Park Forestry. Thank you, Treasurer Patterson. He put a lot of effort out there.
Didn't get any poison ivy either.
Please?
Didn't get any poison ivy. They're all the trees I touched. And
isn't that beautiful? And those bids will close on the 18th, and I would like to have that project on the board table for the 24th consideration. Township Hall re-roofing, we have talked about that. I've had informal bids. The good supervisor and the treasurer have said absolutely to assisting township management in putting together project scope and specifications, and that'll go out for bid. DPW, Neptune, one of the topics, one of the things we're working on, new software. It's actually a replacement for current water billing software because they will no longer support our old version. That's in the mix. Files have been submitted and accepted by Neptune for that project. And we believe, I think, Sir Holtz, October, possibly November. I think we'll aim at October, go live. DPW Director Search. We had 2 interviews, conducted a third on 9/6, and I have information with the committee on a tentative selection on the candidate that we'd like to present to the board. I will keep you posted. And last but not least, the township-owned properties. We had both considered by the board. The good Attorney Young is working with one offer, which is cash, and working on the other offer, which had a sample purchase agreement that was included. More to follow. Handout on the table. That is my response to Spicer Group. Spicer Group and Intercounty Drains is who did the work on Rawsonville Water. And I felt that we needed a little bit more decisive response to them as it related to the intercounty drains and the proposed either basin off-site or the potential wetlands. And Sir Young and Ahmad Ali from Hennessy and I are in conversation about that. And other than that, if there are no questions, that is my report.
Motion to accept the TM's report?
Support.
Been motioned and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Attorney report, Young?
Attorney's report.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was trying to figure out TM, I was trying to figure out all these acronyms to try to stay with it, so it's difficult. I don't have anything in essence in terms of what we've been talking about as of late, but I do have one request. The Planning Commission has the opportunity to review potential modifications to zoning ordinances as it relates to matters that the Township Board thinks is important. And we've had some issues as of late dealing with the location of slaughterhouses in the township and how it is and where it is and how about those things come and occur. And when we look deeper into the current zoning ordinances, there's some issues I think that just need to be addressed and looked at. So I would ask that the board direct the Planning Commission to conduct a public hearing. What it comes down to is to take a look at possibly modifying the zoning ordinances as it relates to that particular use and related uses. I mean, doesn't have to be limited just to that. We need to always be focused on what improvements can be made. We cannot outlaw these matters completely, but we can determine in a zoning sense where they belong and also what the terms and conditions would be for those particular uses. So it's not limited to that, but a motion to that effect by the Township Board that the Deputy Clerk can put into the minutes, which will protect us going forward, is what I'm recommending. And the motion would just be at this point to consider approving and directing the Planning Commission to conduct a public hearing for a zoning ordinance amendment and to consider other zoning ordinance amendments that might be required regarding slaughterhouse locations and other related activities. So if you want to just make a motion to that effect, or if you have something, Matt.
No, I think that's it's perfect. You actually beat me to the punch
I apologize.
on that. We have, I've been working with Joe Pizzotti, who's the planner for us, and on a couple of issues. Once we have moved having animals from a special land use to accessory use, we then were going to move into just reviewing some of the other ordinances, and one of them was going to be Section 6.4, which talks about how many animals per acre you can have and things. And one of the recommendations that Joe had made was to remove the language on 10 acres or less, which the restrictions for how many horses and things, you can have one horse, I think, for 3 acres, and then it's, X number of horses or chickens and things. It stops at 10 acres, and he recommended that it go for however large the parcel is. Those restrictions should continue on by acre, that are restricted for less than 10. So it's perfect timing. I think the Planning Commission could take up that issue and this issue and get a recommendation to the board quickly.
And it's general enough to take a look at whatever other related matters you might have. So
Absolutely.
with that completes my report, but I would ask that you make a motion if you're so inclined to that specific matter so that the minutes can reflect something more than just the board approved the attorney's report.
Yeah, I'll make that motion.
Mr. Supervisor, can I ask Rob a question?
She's asking you if she can ask Rob a question.
Ask a question.
Did something come up or trigger this matter?
Well, there's been
to be
some
brought up?
recent uses, and it's not just the one that we've been looking at lately. There's other issues in the township that are similar in nature. There's certain permissions that are granted under certain circumstances, and then there's other permissions that require Planning Commission review and approval, which there are not necessarily those that want to follow that procedure. So we just want to make it a little bit tougher to follow that procedure so the reviews can be in place and just take a look at maybe other locations that might be more appropriate given the circumstances.
Okay, because I have driven by the one on Bemis Road, and I've never smelled anything or seen any issues at all.
Well, that one, No, I'm not, by bringing this, I'm not suggesting in any way whatsoever that there's any concern or issues in, as it relates to, I can't think of his name, but
Yeah.
the gentleman and family that operate that facility. There
Yeah.
are other operations or other businesses he has on that property also, so that's not the
Okay.
issue. But that's an industrial area, which I think
Yeah.
is something that is probably more important, is probably a better place for this kind of a situation. And there's, again, others. I'm not limited
Okay.
or picking on that. I'm just looking at
Okay.
Melrose.
Thank you.
Chair, I'd like to make a motion to consider approving and directing the planning commission to conduct a public hearing for zoning ordinance and amendments regarding slaughterhouse locations and all activities pertinent to.
And acceptance of the treasurer's report. So we got a
Is there
motion,
support?
support? He supported.
Been motion and supported. Let's do a roll call vote. Trustee Morgan,
Yes.
trustee Addie,
Yes.
trustee Rush,
Yes.
trustee Laporte,
Yes.
clerk Hurst, yes. Treasurer Patterson?
Yes.
Supervisor Bowman?
Yes.
Motion carried.
And I'll make a motion to accept the attorney's report if he's done.
So we just.
Support.
Motion and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
He's done now.
My turn.
You're double verified.
Good evening. Some numbers of interest for the police department, August 2024. Total calls for service, 1,640. 35 arrests, 122 citations. In terms of Part 1 violent crimes, we had 1 felonious assault. Part 1 nonviolent crimes, we had 2 larcenies. I'd like to note that for the year to date, change from last year to this, we're down 60% with felonious assaults, 50% with burglaries, 30% with larcenies, and 20% with vehicle thefts. So that's positive. Nice short report. As always, you have the second and third page, which outlines every specific run we had for the month.
Motion to accept the police report.
Support.
Been motion and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Thank you, Chief. Okay, we're moving on, building report. Inflow type, building 29, amount $20,952. Business inspections, $0. Electrical, 44, $8,155. Grade change, $0. Mechanical, 15, $3,215. Plumbing, 10, $2,286. Rental inspection, $0. Resale inspection, 6, $1,350. Miscellaneous add-ons, reinspect, etc., 0, for a total of $35,958. Outflow type, personal, $20,257.61. Total, $20,257.61.
Motion to accept the building report?
Support.
Been motion and supported, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay. Fire report, Chief Brown. What's that?
Good evening, Board.
Personnel.
For the run totals for the month of August, at a total of 119 incidents, 3 which was fires, emergency medical services, a total of 89. Hazardous conditions were 5.
You're right.
Service calls at 6, good at 10 calls was 14, false alarms was 2, bringing us back to the total for the month of August of 119 runs. And that concludes the incidents for the month of August.
Make a motion to accept the fire report?
No.
Support.
No, we have a,
We have a presentation.
Jamie. Oh, sorry. I will hold my motion to approve the fire report.
Good evening, Board.
good evening.
Thank you for letting me do this presentation. As many of you remember, prior to COVID, I was up here starting a community risk reduction program. We had great starting out over there with special needs families in the township, going out to their house, meeting the families, sitting down, talking with them. We created a special needs survey over here, just going through each of the patient's names, medical information with that. If any of you have dealt with kids or adults in the spectrum or other special needs, there are certain things that we need to do to kind of make interactions a little more pleasant for everybody involved, the patients and for us. Looking at things that are calming, looking at things that trigger them, and having all that information down here on this pre-plan helps us out and makes it a smoother interaction with the people. We've had a lot of success with families, coming forward here. It's a completely voluntary program where they contact me, I go out to the house and sit down and talk with them. Fill out this form over here. We can put that form into our dispatch notes, so when it comes across bricks, we have it right there at the palm of our hands. So before we get there, if the lights will trigger a negative response or the sirens, we can shut that down. We can limit the number of people in there. If they are more prone to have a poor interaction with a male person or a female firefighter, we will try to accommodate everything special out that way. Even going down to figuring out their favorite songs, favorite movies, TV shows, icebreaker conversations we can have with them. I've done this program and given it out there. I teach it through FEMA. Other communities have had great success with that. Sometimes when you have kids in a spectrum, they will elope from the house. That's one of the questions I have in here is, do they have an elopement risk? If so, where do they go? One community in particular called me up and said that by knowing their favorite song, when the kid eloped, they went through the neighborhood playing that song over the PA. He ran out to the police car. So this is all great information for us. We have it over here in the form, multiple copies of it, goes into this red envelope that we'll give out to the family members. They can hang it right on the refrigerator. It's magnetic strip to the sides of it. And if they don't want to put it on the refrigerator, wherever they put it, that goes into our dispatch information as well. So not only do we have that information, HVA that does our transports will have that information as well, because there's a copy for them. There's a copy that can go up to the hospital with them. Pretty good success with that program. It's starting to pick up more and more now that COVID's kind of under control a little bit. We're getting more people in here in the last couple months. I think I've done 5 or 6 site visits and set it up that way. In talking with the chief and that at the station, we've decided to extend this program into the senior community. We have a new form out there for the seniors looking at their medical issues, prescription medications. I'm sure many of you have seen the file of life forms that we've been giving out for years to the fire department. Little pouch goes in the refrigerator, hangs on there. That's why I got the idea for the big envelope. The problem with this card is once you fill it out with pen, we tell everybody put it with pencil so you can update everything. But if this card goes to the hospital with the patient, now we no longer have that information there at the house. So we've taken the information off of this card. I've talked with Huron Valley Ambulance that does our transports. They took this card and the information there, the forms that I'd already started to fill out, they put it in their internal communications network through all the medics, and they've sent me a lot of other questions that they would like to know the answers to prior to transporting somebody. And this is more for if we get there and the person's unresponsive, unable to tell us the information themselves. I've talked with a couple of ER docs up at U of M and St. Joe's. They've given me stuff. Most hospitals talk to one another. They can get the medical information from your file, but that takes a little bit of time sometimes if they're not in the same network. So by having this information at the palm of their hands, they can do better treatments for the patients when they get up there. So along with the seniors' information, we'll update this card into one of our new printed out forms, multiple copies in this envelope, give that to the seniors so we have that right there at their home. Another issue that we found a couple of times here is if the person's unresponsive in the house, they've hit the medical alert pendant or they can't get to the door. A lot of seniors have the lock boxes, but we do not have the combinations for those. So I'm proposing, I went to Ace Hardware and we got a deal with them to buy these just at their cost. I would like to get these for the seniors who are willing to or wanting to have this program, and we can put a lockbox the fire department has access to on their house, saving us time, saving property damage for having to breach through. Along with that, we're looking into starting up CPR classes for Heart Saver AHA CPR classes for residents of the township. We'll be looking to do that, and maybe in November, December, start the program up there. As you guys know, we've had smoke detectors that we've given out to the public in the past. I have started to set up with the Michigan Fire Marshal's office through MI Prevention. They have a program where the state will give us the free smoke detectors. With that, you can't just come to the fire department and get, however many smoke detectors you need. I will come to your house. I will go through your fire escape plan with you, see how many smoke detectors you need, and I will install the smoke detectors for you, all free of charge. Right now, we're doing that for the seniors with this community risk reduction program because the smoke detectors we have were donated by ACE. We only have a limited supply over there, so we're dealing only with the seniors. Next week, I go to Westland for a 3-day class through the MI Prevention program, and after that, I'm hoping to start getting boxes of smoke detectors from the state where we can open it up to everybody in the township. Any questions?
Great work.
Sounds like a lot of good information.
Yes.
Becky first.
Those smoke detectors, are they carbon monoxide?
They are smoke detectors, carbon monoxide detectors, combos. Through the state program as well, if you are hearing impaired, there's another form I have to fill out, and they will give me the visual smoke detectors that flash the lights for you. If you are bedridden, they even have smoke detectors. I don't know how I get them yet, but that's why I'm going to the class next week, that will shake your bed and it'll wake you up at night.
Mr. Good,
Yes.
I want to say something to you.
Okay.
I have known you for years, and I know you have done nothing better than trying to learn, and bring it to the fire department and the police department and us.
Yes.
Hats off to you, and congratulations.
Thank you.
If everybody could have a Jamie Good in their community, I mean, it's amazing to me, the time and the effort that you put in to do what you do. And not just Jamie, but all of them. We have the best of the best of the best as far as I'm concerned. And so thank you. Thank you
thank
for
you.
doing what you do. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
So Jamie, great program as usual.
Thank you.
Good program. I like when you started with the risk reduction program for the children. That's obviously awesome. But what is the township's obligations for the lockboxes? How can the township board support the lockbox?
With that, I will get numbers together, and I will get with Chief Brown and Director Luke and Manager Burdick, and we'll get that information out to the board.
Yeah, get that to the board as soon as you can, or as soon as you need it, so we can review it. So hopefully we can get something like that approved for you.
Okay.
For the community, actually. That's all I have.
Jamie, this is for the chief. Do we have a program for the lock boxes for the commercial businesses?
The commercial businesses some do have the Knox box.
Yeah, the Knox box and stuff. So this is like similar to like the Knox box, it'll be in the same system, I'm assuming, and access and everything else?
Yeah, so the Knox boxes are a key entry.
Yeah.
These will be a 4-digit combination that will be programmed in by the fire department.
I got you. I mean, I was wondering, does it make sense to do like a Knox box as opposed to the combo so that, if the police are there, they have the key or?
Yeah, they're more expensive, Matt.
Yeah.
Mac boxes.
Yeah.
What they do is each community, those are keyed for each
Understood.
community.
I just
Period.
don't know the difference in the cost or
Yeah, it's
what it is. I
significant.
was just thinking instead of having 2 separate programs, you would have one program that would.
Well, so with the Bricks dispatching system, there is a place in there for us to put our site surveys, and it has key holder information, or in this case the seniors information, contact information, secondary contact. It also has a section in there for Knox boxes. So in that dispatch information, the code for the box will be programmed in there. So all the firefighter has to do is look at their phone. There's a 4-digit combination, and they go.
Sounds good.
So, Chair, So for people that are in the audience and that are viewing at home or listening after this meeting, the BRIC system is an app that the firefighters have on their phones, that when dispatch tones the fire department, we all get a brief description of what we're going to, where it's located, all the pertinent information about the patient or fire or whatever's going on, event. So we're better prepared to get to the fire station, and we know what vehicle to get in, and we know how many people we need to take and so forth. So when they keep talking about bricks, that's exactly what it is. It's just an app on the phone.
I will unpause my motion to accept the fire report.
Support. Motion is supported.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, board response.
Chair, if I may?
Tim?
Yeah, I just want to remind the board and the community, the Conference of Western Wayne, they start their meetings again. The host community this Friday will be Huron Township, very close by. I encourage, residents, anybody to stop by. Ms. Peterson, you might want to go to that meeting because we'll be voting on the resolution by the 18 communities for that nuclear waste that, they've got a proposition. It's just got to be approved this Friday. So you might want to consider going. It's at the Huron Township Hall. And that's it. Back
At
to you,
what
board.
time? At what time?
Oh, 9:30, I'm sorry. Starts at 9:30. This Friday.
Chair? I'd like to follow up on the township manager made some comments about ARPA money being spent on the concrete pad for the recycling area out back here. Looks great back there. Just some people don't realize exactly how much that area gets used. This past Saturday, we had approximately 100 people here just on Saturday dropping stuff off to recycle. So some people might be surprised to hear that number, some might not. But it looks like money well spent. They did a nice job on it. Everything's labeled much more clearly. The canisters you put stuff in are a lot better shape than they were beforehand. So it's a nice project. I'm glad to see it's done. That's all I had, Chair.
Chair, and if I could add on, for the acronyms, the ARPA money is funds that we receive from the federal government to spend during the COVID Build Back Better America programs that they had. So that was not township tax money that was spent on that. That was ARPA funds that came from the federal government. That's one of the projects that we decided to upgrade because of the high use of that area.
Thank you, Matt. Okay, we'll move on. A, consider approval of the emergency water main repair at 44750 Willow Road and a payment to Diversified Excavation in the amount of $6,300.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, so
He is
we
removed.
remove these, right?
Yep.
You don't have to make a motion for it.
Because if we did that in the beginning, we approved the agenda.
See,
Yep, we're on C
Okay.
now.
Okay, C, consider approval to pay $56,400 to Diversified Excavating for the ARPA, for the recycling concrete pad approved on July 9th, 2024, paid with ARPA funds.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
D, consider approval of Wayne County WIC agreement for rent in the amount of $21,207 for a 3-year effective October 1st, 2024.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
E, consider approval to pay out the final benefit bank time for John Dancy in the amount of $3,347.37.
So moved.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
F, consider approval of adopting the township-wide cash handling policy developed by the investment committee.
So moved.
Support.
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Okay, you have G, you have the verbiage?
Yeah, agenda item G is consider approval for both the deputy treasurer and finance director to attend the MGFOA Fall Training Institute at a cost not to exceed $2,100.
So moved.
Support.
Been motioned and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Item H, Matt, you got the verbiage for that?
Yes, item H is consider approval of a $5,000 legal contribution, subject to the review and recommendation of the township attorney.
So moved.
Support?
Support.
Been moved and supported. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried.
Announcements. Motion to adjourn?
Support.
Been motioned and supported to adjourn. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned.